Chris, you are in the absolute biggest fight of your career, it seems like, with this charter strike, and you've been making your rounds. Tell us why this march across the Brooklyn Bridge on Monday, September 18th, is so important.
It's almost 6 months that this bargaining unit of almost 1,800 charter Spectrum employees have been out on strike, and the company is adamant in their position, and they are refusing to bargain over an issue that they believe is very important to them. By the way, you got a pin on your lapel.
Yeah, you're safe with me. That's what that means, probably.
Safety.
Is it distracting you?
No. Safety first.
Yeah, safety first.
I'm all
That
good
too.
with
That
you know.
too.
So, but look, you're in a fight. You're doing everything that you think you do, and until you get punched in the face, and then now it's Plan B. And Plan B is that Local 3 fights its own battles, and we're proud of what we do on behalf of our members. But this one is, we need some help here, and we've made the appeal to the Central Labor Council, to PEC, their 80 unions as well. And I've been making the rounds. Today I was at the Building Trades Executive Board. I was at the IATSE Executive Board meetings today, 20 unions, and I was at the Hotel Trades Council with Peter Ward and his Executive Board. And so this request is that, we're at a point in time now where this fight isn't just for the members of Local 3. This is the fight that the middle class is fighting everywhere. And the elimination of a defined benefit pension plan and a good health care plan is worth fighting for. And these members know that. That's what this fight is about. The dignity for them to be able to retire with dignity, retiree medical coverage, and a defined benefit pension plan. And while the companies made an argument that they're the failing union benefit funds, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Beyond the benefits issue, they also want to subcontract this bargaining unit's work with impunity, lay off guys, and what kind of job security is that as well? And so we're at a critical point here, and the labor movement is going to come together on Monday, September 18th. We're going to rally, we're going to meet in Cadman Park in Brooklyn, and Trumpka will be there, our president, is going to lead this march over the Brooklyn Bridge. We anticipate a large turnout and a lot of people waiting for us as we get into Manhattan and then march up into Foley Square, and we'll make some remarks and basically put charter on notice. It was effective in the Verizon strike with the CWA and the IBEW that the pressure came when that company realized they were in a fight with the whole labor movement, and it made a difference. And so this is going to send a message to charter that they're in a fight with the whole labor movement, and it's a critical time for labor right now. There's no doubt about it. It's probably the largest strike in the country, and we're going to ask the AFL-CIO to add them to the boycott list. We're going to take on the IBEW, a national organizing campaign. We've been leafleting in 41 states in charter service centers. And the message, the feedback is, they hate charter. They hate that company. And we're going to make an effort, though, not just to leaflet at charter. We're going to try to organize charter on a national level in 41 states, including Hawaii, and that's going to bring some pressure. It costs a lot of money to run a union avoidance campaign. To run it in 41 states is going to cost charter a lot of money. The other thing that's important in this battle is that this CEO made $98 million last year. He's the highest paid CEO in the country, and it goes beyond fairness, more than 2,300 times the average worker's pay. He also is poised to gain $100 million personally if the stock price of charter goes up another 20%. And he's been getting steps right along. So he's got personal gain in this. How do you raise the price of a stock? You make the cash flow look better. How do you make the cash flow better? Cutting your expenses, cutting your pay, cutting your salaries. I don't know that this strike has been easy for them either. It's certainly a hardship on our members. We have members that have been, sleeping in their cars. Families are losing their homes, and they're hanging in there, by a thread. But somebody once told me when a boxer's in the late rounds and he's tired, the other guy is probably tired too. They've got a lot of assets. It's the corporate mantha. It's the corporate agenda. Bust the unions. I think that was their agenda from the beginning. They're also in trouble with the Attorney General, and I'll give you an example of, they're being sued over what they deem as the speed of their internet. And so a technician goes to a customer's home whose cable isn't working the way they think it should be working. They check the box, they check the signal, they check all the connections, they do everything that they could possibly do. But I think inside them they know that they can't fix that because it's not their problem. It's the company who has said that you're going to get this quality and they can't deliver that quality. And so the AG has a lawsuit that's pending right now. Public Service Commission has issues with Charter when they merged or bought Time Warner. That was approved. There were agreements that were made, and an important part of that initial agreement was that they would not change the face of the workforce in New York City, which means they commit to the collective bargaining agreement and continue with those employees. Right now, there's 500 employees where there were 18. They can't be delivering the service. You see the ads. Telephone company good, telephone company bad, Spectrum good. It's nonsense. And they just, are operating with scabs and strikebreakers. They brought in from out of town. And how do you continue to provide the service that you did with 1,800 loyal people? The other thing on the benefit plans, we had 40 years of collective bargaining with Time Warner. And every contract you negotiate, and the company says, okay, the settlement is, we'll agree to 3% in each year of the contract. And then the members needed to take a percent of that to put to the pension fund for an improvement or to the medical fund for an improvement. Those members have paid for that benefit plan that they enjoy, over 40 years. They've paid for that. So for the company to come in here right now and take that away from them, it's taking money out of their pocket. They offer a corporate pension, a corporate health fund, and a 401k, and that's not satisfactory. That doesn't deliver what these members have been accustomed to. We have a benefit plan, and on a personal note, my son, Chris, he gave a kidney to his brother. I got the bill from the Cornell University. Without the surgeon and without the anesthesiologist, the bill was $96,000.
Wow.
Our benefit plan, my share of that bill was $200. That's what these members are fighting for.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you get a $96,000 hospital bill with a crap medical plan, and you're going to be in hock or bankrupt for a long, long time.
That's right.
And so this fight and this appeal is not just to the trade union movement to show their support here, because they know what's at risk. It's our turn in the barrel. It was Con Edison, it was Verizon. Now it's Spectrum. Who's next? And the agenda, the corporate agenda in this country, backed by people with a lot of money, eliminate the trade union movement as best they can and get rid of the unions. And and I don't think the public really wants that. You've seen the numbers. You've driven the numbers. 60% of people say are favorable towards unions. Unfortunately, you get fired for signing a pledge card in this country. And it's not going to get any better with the present administration in Washington. And so we're in for a real fight. A Supreme Court that may take away the right for the public employees to be in unions or to encourage people not to have to pay dues. What organization can survive without paying your dues? What government can survive if people decide they don't want to pay their taxes anymore? There's a value here that you get as a member of the union, the representation that you get from the union, that the union would continue to be required to provide. Without the assets and the resources to support that, they know exactly what they're doing. They've done it across the country. So.
In the past, the trades have done their own thing, the public sector, the private sector. We have conservative elements in the union movement as well as very liberal left movements. How do you foresee this coming together in a march across the Brooklyn Bridge with all this past division? Do you think now is the time because of the climate, what's going on in D.C., or are you just hoping that people have finally woken up and are going to come together and be like, I'm going to be my brother's keeper, I'm going to join this fight?
I've said it in the past on other issues, climate change in particular. You know, when people of good conscience come together, there will be change. And if you think about the history of child labor in this country and civil rights in this country, apartheid in South Africa, the end of the Vietnam War, people of good conscience came together and there was change. And I believe that can happen in America. Unfortunately, and what drove the election, you know, we have a white workforce in the Midwest working for Walmart wages in right-to-work states, and people are trying to convince them that rather than embrace the unions, we should get rid of them. That's insanity. You know, this is an education. You know, hopefully this is a wake-up call for the public to support these strikers. You know, recognize that what they're fighting for is a middle-class lifestyle. We all want to be in the middle class. We all want to be able to own a home, to be able to send our children to college, to be able to retire in dignity. That comes with a union contract. And so I think the time is if it's not now, when, Chris? You know, when is it going to be that the people are going to start to, you know, make the point that the middle class, the working class is what matters. Yeah. That's what made this country great, the trade union movement. And we've been getting beat up for 30 years. They want to put Ronald Reagan in the Hall of Fame, the Labor Hall of Fame.
A joke.
Unbelievable. And the guy fired the air traffic controllers. He set the tone. He set the signal for a union-free environment. And we've been in this fight for more than 30 years. My grandfather was Harriman Osdale. He was the business manager of this organization from 1933 till 1968. And he saw, you know, the growth of the labor movement. You know, people were coming out of a depression. They had nothing to lose at that point. So the trade union movement grew, and the middle class grew in this country. And then things started to slip, and especially after 1980, when Ronald Reagan fired the traffic controllers, and that sent the signal. And so we've been in a fight. Harry said on his deathbed, 100 years from now, the labor movement is going to be stronger than it is today. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is it's going to go down. People are going to lose everything. And then when they have nothing else to lose, that's when they're going to fight to come back. And unfortunately, you know, we're only 35 or 40 years into this fight. So I hope it doesn't come true. I hope people start to realize that they need to organize. They need to be organized. It's really the answer. And you raise all boats, you know, when people are organized. And we're just asking for fairness here and justice, and to continue to be able to maintain the benefits that we've had against the corporation that, again, for no other reason than I can think of, corporate greed, and an agenda that is being driven by the right to eliminate the trade union movement in this country. And it's time. It's time for people to stand up.
Do you recommend to the members of the general public that they bring their children to a march across the Brooklyn Bridge on Monday, September 18th?
I have not made an appeal to the families. We had a great event last Saturday. Local 3 gave out almost 8,000 hats to our members and their children and their families. That was the day that the labor movement marched up Fifth Avenue, proudly demonstrating who we are. And so this demonstration, I'm not asking for people to bring their families. People are coming from work, most of them, many of them work in downtown Manhattan and in Brooklyn and in places. And so I think it's mostly going to be rank and file members from the trade unions that are going to come out that day. And so it's probably a school day, and so I don't see the children as part of this, but I hope they watch it on TV, and I hope it sinks into them. You know, I go back a long time, and my son Chris was very young. We were at a Labor Day parade, and the farm workers were marching up Fifth Avenue, and they had these sticks with giant purple balloons, bunches of grapes. And as they're coming up to the grandstand, everybody's going, look at the grapes, look at the grapes. Chris was about 5, holding my hand and saying, Dad, Dad. He finally goes, Dad. And everybody looks at him. He goes, what's a grape? You know, the boycott. That was an effective boycott,
Yes.
Cesar Chavez.
Yes.
And, you know, we supported that in my family. If you're a trade unionist, it doesn't matter whose fight it is, you're going to support that effort. And we need more of that. We've gotten some bad shakes here, and it's time for this labor movement to get itself together and move forward here and rebuild this movement here so we can continue to have a middle class in this country like it was and make this country great again.
If there is somebody watching this video on the other side of the nation, in the Midwest and the Deep South, and they're inspired by your words, because in my opinion, UCOM's opinion, you're a very excellent union leader. If they call on you to come march with them in their corner of the nation, would you be able to do and provide for them?
I know that there are trade union leaders all over this country that have integrity, that stand ready and willing, to and are open to representing workers in every industry and across the board. What was instilled in me was the only purpose of the union is to serve the membership, and we've been blessed here in Local 3 and have done that for a long time, and the members respond to that. They understand that. And so this is a fight that, again, people need to be energized, and as they become energized and they start to ask the question, instead of, why that public employee that because I don't have a pension and I don't have a good retirement plan and my taxes are going up because the public employee that lives next door has a pension and a good medical plan. Instead of saying, that why should he have that because I don't, they should be saying, why don't I have that? And they should recognize that that only comes through organization and being part of an organization that protects the work and the dignity of work and the rights of those members. And it could happen. This can absolutely turn around, and it could turn around quickly.
UCOM will be with you. We will push it out to the union movement as much as we can. That's why we're here today in Leicester, in Queens, New York. And I'm hoping that the general public, if they catch wind of this, come and meet you, and I hope that you're accessible to them. Someone who's not in a union, who saw this video, who was inspired, and I hope they come and ask you questions. Will you be available to just a regular old working Joe?
Absolutely. We want them to come. We want them to recognize that this fight is their fight as well. And so we welcome the public to come and support us. Let them get the details of this. They can go to the website we're driving them to. The elected officials need to pay attention here as well, because they can make a difference, If every elected official that wanted to support these strikers took the position, and I'm going to ask them to take the position not to go on New York 1, which is Spectrum's cable channel, until this thing gets resolved, that's not a big ask.
No.
If they put a mic in front of you, okay, answer the question. But if they invite you into their studio to sit in front of their sign that says New York 1, tell them I'm with the strikers. I'm not coming.
That's a beautiful message.